A man came home after his death. His wife followed him. 17 names were waiting. I am carving this into bamboo slips. The stream below our village is loud today. My children are not loud. My children are not anything. I write with the knife my husband used to mark silk bundles. He used to come home with silk. He used to come home. Origin Protocol. Witness File 007-B. Witness Designation. Witness E007-B. I am Gu Qingmei. I am 32 years old. The year is Guanwu 7th, 3rd month. My husband came home after his death. With every step, I knew he was not my husband. I followed him back to our village because I did not know yet. I am the reason 17 became 18. The imperial record will say plague. The imperial record will say cholera. The record that someone will find, one day, in the wet soil by this stream, will say something else. I am writing it now. I have 7 days before the slips are full. I do not expect to live that long. This is the testimony of the woman who brought the dead home. My husband Liu Wei was a silk merchant. That is what I believed for 9 years of marriage. He left our village 3 times each year. He returned with silk, with salt, and with small toys carved from southern wood for our daughter. Our daughter was Liu Xiaolan. She was born in the 2nd year of the reign. She lived 2 years and 1 month. She died in the 5th month of the 5th year, in a fever that took many small children. The physician said the water had turned. The physician said nothing could be done. We did what parents in our village do. We buried her under the peach tree. We did not speak her name again. My husband began writing at night after that. He would sit at the low table and work until the lamp ran thin. He would hide the slips in a cedar box under our bed. I saw him write. I did not ask what. I thought he was writing to her. I thought a man who cannot say his daughter's name will find another way to say it. I thought I was protecting him by not asking. I was protecting something. I was wrong about what? He wrote for 2 years. Then the 3rd month came. Then the rains. Then the temple. I did not see the temple. No one from our village saw it, except my husband, and the villagers who found him. I write what was told to me on the morning he was returned. The 3rd month rains had closed the mountain pass. My husband took shelter. There was an old temple above the road, past the 3rd bend, on the ridge where the pine trees had grown over the roof. The temple had been sealed 40 years. Red paper strips crossed the doors. A single character was written across the seam of the wood. The character was stop. 17 plague dead had been placed inside, in the last great fever. The villagers of that ridge had closed the temple. They left the ridge. They never returned. Every traveler on that road walked around it. My husband walked into it. They found him at the temple gate at sunrise. His throat had 2 small holes. His body held no blood. The 17 bodies were gone. The footprints in the mud by the broken seal showed no heel. Only toe. As if something had been hopping. The magistrate from the prefecture came that afternoon. He examined the scene for 1 hour. He wrote plague. He wrote cholera. He wrote 17 dead of disease, 1 dead of misadventure. He sealed the temple again with fresh paper. He rode back down the mountain before the light failed. By then my husband had already started walking home. They brought his body to our house at dusk. 4 men from the ridge village carried him on a wooden board. They set him on the stone in our courtyard. They did not come inside. They said words of mourning from the doorway. They left before the moon rose. I sat with him. I washed his face. I did not weep yet. Our custom is to sit with the dead one night before burial, to give the spirit time to find the road. I sat with him. The lamp burned low. The courtyard was silent. At the second watch of the night, he moved. I want to describe this carefully. He did not wake the way a man wakes. He did not bend at the knee or at the waist. He rose the way a wooden figure rises if you pull a string from above. Straight. All at once. His arms fell forward, rigid, palms down. His eyes opened and did not blink. He looked at the doorway. He did not look at the cradle in the corner. He did not look at the low table where my husband had written for 3 years. He stepped off the stone. He did not bend his knee. He hopped. I should have run. I should have called the village. I should have struck him with the lamp and set fire to our house and run to the magistrate at first light. I did not. I took his hand. It was not cold. It was not warm. It was simply still. I thought I was bringing him home the right way. I did not yet know that he was bringing me. We walked back toward the temple. He hopped. I followed. We reached the temple at sunrise. He stopped at the broken gate. He turned, slowly, and looked at my shoulder. I was carrying his silk bundle. I had slung it over my shoulder without thinking. I untied the cord. I opened the cloth. There was no silk. There were 17 bamboo slips, bound in 3 layers of oiled cord. Each slip held one name. I could read. My husband had taught me, secretly, across 9 years. I thought it was for his ledgers. I was wrong about the ledgers, too. An old woman from the ridge village had followed us up the path. She had seen the slips before. She knew. Every name on those slips was a child our valley had lost. 3 generations. Fevers, rockfalls, the river in flood years, a winter when the grain ran short. 17 small ones. My husband had not been a silk merchant. He had been the 3rd keeper in his family's line. Every 3 years, on the 3rd month, he had carried these names to that temple and replaced the seal. The last keeper's son takes the work. No one in the village is told. No one in the village must forget, and no one in the village must know. Someone had broken the seal before he arrived. Someone had wanted them to walk. The record written later will say a merchant sought shelter from rain. These slips suggest something else. A keeper was killed before he finished his work. We walked home. He hopped. I followed. At our door he stopped. He did not enter. He stood at the threshold, arms forward, knees locked, face turned toward the road that led into our village. I went inside alone. I set the bundle on our low table. I untied the 3 cords. I unrolled the first slip. I read the first name. I stopped. I did not read the second. I did not read the third. I did not read any other name. I rolled the slips up. I tied the 3 cords. I found my husband's jar, the one he sealed with wax each winter to keep salt dry. I put the slips inside. I melted new wax. I sealed the jar. I carried it to the kitchen hearth. I held it over the low flame. My hands did not open. The jar was heavy. The wax was warm. I stood there a long time. Then I lifted the jar off the flame. I carried it to the corner of our house, to the cradle under the peach window. I set the jar down beside the cradle. The jar sat there the way a child would sit. I told myself I would burn it tomorrow. I told myself I would burn it after I had thought. I told myself I would burn it before Liu Wei came back. None of that was true. I thought I was a coward. I was a coward. But cowardice was not the reason. The reason was in the first slip. I had already seen it. I would not let what my eye had read reach my heart. A woman can do that for 7 nights. I know. I did. On the first night, Liu Wei returned. He passed our house. He stopped at the Wei family's door, 3 doors down. He stood at their threshold. He did not knock. He did not speak. He waited. He looked at their door the way a man looks at a door he has knocked on many times before. After a long while, he turned back toward the temple. On the second night, 2 came. They stopped at the Tan family, then the Bao family. They waited. They left. On the third night, 3. Then 4. Then 5. Then 6. Every house they stopped at was a house that had lost a child. Every house I had grown up knowing. Every house where I had sat in mourning and never spoken of it again. I understood on the 5th night. They were returning the names to the houses they came from. They were waiting for someone to speak. They were waiting for the keeper's work to be finished. They were waiting for me. I had the jar. I could have opened it at each door. I could have read one name at each threshold. I could have ended this on the 7th night. A keeper's wife might have done so, if keepers' wives were part of the work. I did not go out. I held the jar. I did not open it. On the 8th night, 17 came. 17 waited. No one spoke. 17 walked into the houses. That was the night my village became what the imperial record will call cholera. I am writing this at noon of the 9th day. My village is gone. The magistrate from the prefecture will come in 3 days. He will burn the houses. He will reseal the temple with fresh paper. The next keeper's son, somewhere in the valley, will not be told what work he has inherited. I sat in front of the jar. I broke the wax. I took out the first slip. Lu Xiaolan. My daughter. 2 years and 1 month. 5th year of the reign, 5th month. My husband had been carrying her name for 2 years. Keeping her from walking. Keeping her from being forgotten. That was his work. That was also, I think now, his grief. I do not know why he came home. I do not know what a corpse wants. The elder of the Ridge village would say a keeper returns for the living. The priest would say a husband returns for his wife. I am a woman who does not know enough about either answer. I will say what I have come to believe. I have come to believe he returned because I was the only person left who could say her name out loud. A name that is not said becomes a name that walks. He came back so I would say it. This morning I said it. 17 times. I carved the last slip and sealed the jar. If you are reading this, I ask you one thing. Say her name once. Then say the other 16. Lu Xiaolan. The first name. The keeper's daughter. The reason a keeper came home. File status, the wife wrote until the 9th day. The village did not.